Hi, I'm Gina Narcissi, and today I'm catching up with Orion Johnson, Senior Editor for CRN, on In Depth, where we cover a big story happening now with the reporter who covered the news. 2 months after buying virtualization leader VMware, Broadcom is feeling the fallout from disenfranchised VMware partners who are upset by the company's move to terminate partner agreements in favor of an invite-only program. Partners have since shifted accounts off of VMware to alternatives such as Nutanix and Microsoft. Now, Broadcom's channel chief Cindy Loyd commented publicly for the first time about VMware's channel and the road ahead. So, Orion, what were the big takeaways?
The big takeaways were really about how Broadcom has tried to maintain as much of VMware as sort of the consistency as they can between the VMware and Broadcom's new partner program. They acknowledge that there's going to be a lot of disruption here in the short term, but they did seem to say that, moving forward for those 18,000 partners that they've selected to move forward, there's going to be a lot more consistency, a lot more simplification around pricing and deals and registration for deals. So those were sort of the big highlights that she hit on.
So Cindy also said that they're bringing back about 18,000 reseller partners. Did she say anything about the criteria that's being used?
Yeah, there was some talk early on from folks from partners that we talked to that said it looked like they were going to use a revenue criteria of about 500,000 as a cap. Cindy did not mention that at all. What she said is the partners who were coming back had registered deals with Broadcom in the previous 24 months. So that's a pretty big window for partners to have done some business with VMware and still get invited to join Broadcom. And there wasn't any talk in there about revenue. Of course, that you could kind of assume that revenue is something that they looked at though as well. But that's how they determined who the active partner was. That does mean that there were about, I think, 10,000 or so partners who were maybe less than that, 7,000 or so partners who were cut out of the program. According to the last figures that they gave us about the partner program, is that it stood at about 25,400, I want to say. And so this means that number is going to drop to 18,000. So about 7,000 partners are considered inactive and I guess did not make the cut.
And so what happened with the OEM agreement?
That was really interesting. So VMware is so embedded in so many different vendors with so many different solution providers and so many different customers that a lot of the products that vendors will use include VMware. So if we think of like Dell and VxRail, Lenovo has products, HPE has products. They all embed VMware to some degree, and those require licensing agreements with VMware. And VMware, of course, after being bought by Broadcom, they did away with all those previous agreements. So they're rewriting the new OEM agreements. We had a great conversation with their VP of OEM, Ricky Cooper, who told us, look, and this is also a takeaway that Cindy had, is the complexity in VMware was really kind of strangling any sort of profits that you could take out of it. It had grown organically for something like 20 some odd years. The deals, everybody had their own deals, their own pricing, and particularly in the OEM arrangements where Dell had owned VMware for some period of time, they had special deals on pricing, special relationships that were by agreement, and those all ended. So it's been a lot of disruption in a short time, and Cindy acknowledged that.
So the last time we talked to you on In Depth was when this deal was closing in December, so about 2 months ago. A lot has happened since. What are you hearing from partners?
There's been a lot of confusion about sort of the moves that Broadcom has made. I think maybe Broadcom hasn't done a fantastic job of communicating all the things that they need to say to partners all the time. Of course, there's a lot of moving parts when it's a $69 billion acquisition that involves 200,000 customers and 30,000 partners. So those are all things that I'm sure are kind of at work, and the machinations as those play out. I think the partners are kind of caught there in between this and really wondering how they're going to license partners, how they're going to license customers, how they're going to renew licenses for customers, where they're going to buy some of the virtualization products that they've relied on for, in some cases, decades. how are they going to buy those for their customers? And those answers are starting to come out. Broadcom starting to talk about them. We're starting to report them. But it's been a kind of a bit of a sea of unknown here for the last few weeks as the acquisitions kind of firmly taken hold. And Forrester said it could be kind of 6 months before we really kind of see whether Broadcom smoothly landed the plane or sailed the ship into harbor, or got the touchdown, or whatever analogy is best appropriate.
Yeah. And we know this is an evolving situation, and you'll continue to stay on the news, Orion. So thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Gene. Appreciate it.
To read more about this news, head to crn.com.